How you going,
Fresh
Shorty?
snip.
Keeping busy?
Shorty?
Yeah, yeah. Just
Looks.
just the ISO cart. I think everyone's getting
Yeah.
that. So got the missus to do it. But don't know about it.
Yeah, the beauty is you got a bit of
Yeah.
time for it to grow back. So,
Yeah, I reckon I might stick with it actually. Might get it done properly though.
does anyone else remember that? I wonder if many people remember the Dusty Martin haircut you had. Surely someone does. That was good.
Have you ran that before?
We'll wait till this share comes up, and then I'll share my screen to start to kick us off.
One moment. We are nearly going live.
What have you been doing in ISO, Shorty? What's been going on?
Been pretty busy actually. Started a online uni course.
Yep.
Doing a Bachelor of Health Science, nutrition,
nice.
so that's keeping me pretty busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few things around the house. Getting the house painted at the moment. Got someone in to do it actually, not me. So.
Yeah. I was going to say, was that you or was that someone else?
Get it done properly, I think so. Not too much.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me share my screen because I want to start with something and just see. Obviously, everyone can see that, can they? See my screen?
Yeah, got your screen, yeah.
So this is obviously M Short by day, pre-ISO, whacking them around. But now we've got Matt Short in ISO, and we've had a few people ask whether or not this actually. Hang on. Let me get this up again. Whether or not this actually was first go. So once we see, I think a fair few people have spoken about this already here, but
We saw this on Shorty's Instagram.
There was a question, I think, wasn't there, Fitzy, that
where is it?
I can't remember.
I think Brody was the player I think that emailed in. First question in through email was how many cracks at that did you have before you got it in?
It took us a long time. My housemate actually got it in as well. It probably took us each about 40 or 50 goes each.
Yeah.
Right.
You actually, I remember seeing, was it another one? Was it a card trick? You flicked the card to the beer cup, the beer mug?
A bit of a big sort of pint glass, and it's got the deck of cards out. And we're just sitting there one day, pretty bored, and started flicking these cards, and that took us a long time as well. Probably, a good 20 rounds before we got one in. So a lot of picking up cards and a lot of throws, and a lot of time up and down the stairs for the golf one as well.
Good for the quads.
Very nice. Obviously, first of all, really do appreciate you coming on. I know, that there's not a lot that's going on, but you still it's a choice that you choose whether to take the time, and so we really do appreciate it. We've got a really good response, not only to obviously watching live, but we also have a live stream on the personal Facebook group that we've got, and then obviously all the other members that see it in replays. We've got about over 1,500 people, I think, in the program for the next 4 weeks. So, really, really appreciate it. I guess the structure we were probably looking at was more, I've got a couple of questions and want to have a quick chat, but then we can open it up to some of the other people sitting here as well, to ask some things. But I guess just to give a bit of a snapshot, what your background was and how you started playing, and just your sort of lifespan of your career, even though you're still only relatively young. But how did it all kick off, and where are you from, just in case not everyone knows?
Yes, I'm a country boy from Ballarat, sort of central Victoria. I guess cricket started for me a little bit later. I was probably 12 or 13 when I played my first game. I filled in for my first game. So I've got one older brother and one younger brother. My older brother was was playing a game just on a Saturday morning for the local team at East Ballarat there, and I think they were short a couple of players, so I was just there watching on the sideline, and lucky enough, I had the whites in the back as well, so just a spare pair of whites that my older brother had, so whipped them on and went out for a field and didn't actually battle bowl, but took a catch, and that sort of started. I sort of took a catch, everyone got around me, and that was sort of the joy, like the first joyful moment I had playing cricket. And from then on, sort of just kept playing and playing. Played with him every week because I was short, and I guess went from there and started playing again the next year in my own age group, in the under 14, under 12s, I think. And then probably played about 4 or so years in the juniors at East Ballarat, and played a couple in the rep sides and stuff for the Ballarat region. And I guess that sort of led to the Dowling Shields, or the state competition for the Central Highlands, which then sort of led to performances in that sort of competition, led to I guess playing for Victorian in the under 15s and the 17s and the 19s. So I guess the cricket pathways, I'm sure it's pretty similar at the moment, but pathway was really good in that sense, where if you can perform in the different sides you get selected in, then the pathway's there for you if you really want it.
Yeah, nice. And obviously, as you said, you went the conventional pathway. You went through all the underage stuff, so that they had a bit of an earmark potentially at a younger age, and had the ability to have a look at you and everything like that. But you still, you still ended up getting into this state elite system at a relatively young age as well. 19, were you? I can't remember off the top of my head, but you got a rookie contract then, sort of thing. And what's it like as being a younger player, sort of trying to find your feet and fit in that elite environment? Because it was pretty daunting when I had a bit of a go at it. I can't imagine being 19 and everything like that.
Yeah, it was really tough. I suppose being a country boy and to that stage getting a contract with the Vics, I hadn't played much senior cricket up until then. So sort of getting the first training session in the change rooms, and there's guys like David Hussey and Peter Siddle and Bucky Rogers and Cameron White, all those kind of guys. It was really daunting. I sort of felt a sense that I didn't really belong there. Like I didn't really fit in amongst those names. You sit at home growing up watching them on TV, and you're like, sometimes you just think to yourself, how the hell am I here? But, for the first, I suppose that first year, and especially moving from Ballarat to Melbourne was a massive year. But I guess it took a while to fit in and to feel comfortable. But you're always going to get into some uncomfortable situations. But the more you put yourself in them, I guess the better off you're going to be.
Yep. And what sort of from that stems the playing above or at a higher level than what you're probably used to, and going up a level. And I like to sort of even think even a 12-year-old has the same feelings as what you would have been having then playing your first state game or your first second 11 game or whatever. What is there any particular things that you have, because you think about it, you've gone up a level a lot. You've started at club cricket and you've worked your way through the system. So all the time you've had to go and play up a level than what you used to, and you performed at it because you're still there. So what sort of things do you, I guess, think of or do when you are playing up those levels? What's important to you to make sure you still perform?
I think it's a bit of a cliche, but it's almost like you just think it's just another game of cricket. I suppose I've had a lot of coaches back when I was younger saying, if you come up against someone that's a quick bowler or a good batter, I had a couple of coaches that said, they've got 2 arms, they've got 2 legs, they've got a head, like they've got, they're the same as you. They're only human. So, and it's just a cricket ball and a cricket bat. So, to me, I kind of, if I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable, playing my first game or coming up in a big game or going up a level, as you're saying, I just think to myself, I've played so much cricket, since I was 12 or 13. It's just another normal game of cricket. So I think that just sort of calms me down a bit.
Yep.
Not sort of worrying about who I'm playing against or where or, the crowd or anything. It's just, going out there and just playing cricket, what you love doing.
Yeah, sweet. A couple more from my perspective. Again, going through the system and going through and even different teams, you're obviously going to be having to bat in different positions in certain days, even throughout the month or the preparation. Even with the Big Bash, you might not always find your same position in the side.
Yeah.
What do you sort of do to prepare to bat or to bat in different positions, because you're probably going to be more selectable if you don't just pigeonhole yourself as one sort of player? What do you think is important with that?
It can be tough, especially as a young fellow. If you might be an opening batter, but some days you might have to be pushed down the order for some whatever reason. But I guess for me, especially Shield cricket, I'm sort of predominantly batting through the middle now. So I guess when I'm first batting in the nets, it's always facing the older ball, but then there's always a chance of, coming up against a new ball after the 80th over. And then you sort of start to getting the newer ball in at training. So as a young fella, again, if you're not an opening batsman, I still think you should try and face a new ball whenever you can, or a swinging ball on a bowling machine or whatever it is, because I feel like if you can face a swinging ball, then if you do that well, or if you practice that enough, you're going to be a lot better at facing, an older ball or something. So if you're a young fella and you do find yourself on a bowling machine or something, definitely try and put a bit of swing on it, because you never know when you're going to come up against swing bowling. Don't always just take the easy option and just set it on a nice pace, half volley, nice and straight. Try and challenge yourself and get the ball moving around a bit.
Yeah, nice. Anything from you, Fitzy, before we sort of start opening up some questions from the group?
No, that's all pretty good. I reckon we go to the group. There's some really good ones in the Q&A box, so we'll open it up to the players. Nathan Pryke has asked here, mate, who's your biggest inspiration and why?
Biggest inspiration? It's a good question. I suppose family's been a big one. It was my older brother growing up, because I played a lot with him as a young fella. Dad was always a massive one, because obviously growing up with an older and younger brother, we were always out in the backyard playing, cricket, footy, basketball. Yeah. Dad was always there, stopping the fights and stopping throwing bats and all that. So, Dad was massive and Mum as well. Like, there's a lot of travel and commitment they have to make and sacrifices they have to make to make me happy anyway, growing up. So,
especially being a country boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
How important do you think that backyard stuff was to your development? Because that's probably something that has faded out of the game a little bit now with current generation.
Yeah, massive. Obviously lucky enough to have the two brothers and a nice backyard. So, growing up was huge for me, especially, getting pretty competitive from a young age and, getting in those sort of those fights probably helped me in a way just to sort of fend for yourself and stand up for yourself. And I'm not saying it was all doom and gloom. We did love having a kick or playing games out the backyard. So had a lot of fun growing up out there.
Yeah, awesome.
Isaac Faithful last one. He said, "Did you find it difficult to get a professional contract? If so, what did you find hard about it?" I know obviously the first part of the question probably is a yes, but what parts of it is hard to get to that level?
I think the hardest bit would definitely be the sacrifices that you have to make, especially around that age of sort of 17, 18, 19, when they start, I guess, handing out those those rookie contracts. That kind of period in your life's a period where you want to sort of focus on having a good time with your mates. You're finishing school, and you might have a few 18th birthday parties coming up, and I missed a lot of them. I missed a lot of family birthdays just because I had to be away. Well, not had to, but chose to be away. On a weekend trip or something for cricket, or a week away for cricket. So I guess the sacrifices I had to make growing up and missing out on a few things, in the end proved like a good choice to make.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few questions come in, mate, about who the fastest bowler you faced is. So if you want to name that, and then maybe talk a little bit about how you go about facing uncomfortably fast bowling. Yep. Do you still experience fear?
Not necessarily. I just sort of back myself to be able to get in good positions. Obviously watching the balls, the biggest one, but I suppose the quickest bowlers I've faced Mitchell Starc, faced Jofra Archer as well in a T20 game. So I guess from watching them a lot on TV and sort of knowing what they do and what their strengths are, I could sort of prepare for that and know what they were going to try and do. So I was making sure I'd get in a nice position early to sort of defend what they were going to try and get me out with. So obviously Mitchell Starc's a left arm in swinging bowler to a righty. So I just made sure I didn't, plant that front foot in front of the stumps, and I was kind of expecting it to be at the stumps. Whereas Jofra Archer's probably that more, he's from a high relief, really hitting the wicket and sort of bouncing up through here. So
and it's sort of like, I can't face him, but is it sort of like harder to, it's a bit of a, not a mind game, but he just sort of ambles in a little bit more, and it's a little bit more fluid and relaxed. It's not all that effort sort of thing. It just seems effortless sort of thing. Harry's you up a bit more.
It was unreal. Like the first couple of balls I've faced from him, just a little amble, slow jog in, and then it was just amazing how much pace he could gather from, not running in so fast. But I suppose I put a little bit more weight on the back foot and expected things to be a bit shorter. So try and get in a nice position to play him.
Nice.
There's also been quite a lot, mate, about, tied into one, but what your highest score is, and then maybe what your favourite innings is personally. And then if you can sort of elaborate on why you think you went so well, what you did, how you prepared, and things like that.
Yep. I think Hamo, you were playing this game, I was playing for Northcote. We were playing at Princes Park against Carlton.
It
was a red ball. It was a 2-day game, and we were chasing. We were chasing or setting.
I think we were setting.
We're batting first, and
I didn't do much for that. Just put me feet up much.
Sitting on the sideline watching.
Yeah.
I think I got 170. But I think the good thing about it was I was sort of batting at 3 or 4. And I think at lunch we were about, I guess the pitch flattened out a fair bit at Princes Park, as it does after lunch. And I think we ended up getting about 350 that day. Tail enders making a few runs as well. So I guess it's just special in a way because, we were 5 for 50 and I was able to do a job and get a decent score. And I guess put us in a good position. But I guess when things like that are happening, when the team's struggling a bit, or you just got to hang in there and know that, the pitch will get better, or as we know it did it at that ground, and a short straight boundary, so that helped a bit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think just hanging in there a bit, and it's good to get the win as well, and put the team in a good spot.
Yeah, awesome.
Josh Marsh has asked, Matt, what do you do if you find yourself in the middle and you can't score any runs and all you can do is block? What do you think? What do you do? So we find a lot of players come to us, or our academies and all of our coaches, and they go, I can't score freely. It's really hard. I hit it to a fielder, or they get out in the middle and they find it really hard to score. Do you have any sort of advice for the Joshy boy?
I think, well, one thing is not panic. I know if you get tied down and you're facing a lot of dots and you feel like you're hitting, as you said, you're hitting the fielders or you just can't get off strike. I think, the best thing is just to relax, and sometimes you can feel like you're tensing the bat a bit harder, and you want to try and hit the ball harder and in the air and take a risk. But I think, as I said just before, like if you can hang in there and, just if the bowler can't get you out, the bowler's going to get frustrated. So, facing a lot of dots isn't necessarily a bad thing. It still means you're on top of the bowler because the bowler hasn't got you out. So just keep backing your skill and backing yourself not to go out, and make sure you pounce on the bowler's mistake once they get tired, or throw you up a half volley or a short one outside off, or something you can cut, or something you can put away. I think so. That'd be my advice.
Very nice. Good. I was going to say, add to that, so I got another question from Hunter. He's gone, how do you score from ball one in T20? Does that change when you go into T20 mode? Does your thought processes or your thinking change at all? Is it massive, or is it just a slight adjustment? Is it boundary first ball, or is it just trying to get off strike sort of thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. You're definitely trying to score first ball, whether it's a boundary or a one or whatever it is. But the intensity definitely goes up in white ball cricket, especially T20. I guess it's all about still sticking to your cues, and if the ball's there to hit, then just hit it. There's plenty of times where we might have lost a wicket, and then next ball, you might go for a slog and it comes off. It's just sort of risk versus reward, and sticking to your plans. And if it's not really trying to premeditate any shots, it's still, if the ball's there to hit it, just hit it. No second guessing really. It's just that sort of that mind frame you're getting, the mindset you're getting.
Instinctive.
Just to score, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, there's been a few questions made about your preparation, before a game, before you go out to bat. Do you want to sort of explain what process you go through, maybe the night before a game and the morning of a game?
Yep. So I make sure the day before a game I'm having a net session. Not a very long one. It's more quality over quantity, I guess. So that's a day before. I make sure I get a good hit in and make sure I'm feeling good. The night before, it's pretty quiet, mate. Not much. I'm just trying to, I guess this is like every night before a game, I'm not trying to think about the game too much. I sort of leave that for training and for the morning of the game. So I guess if the game's tonight, I'll just try and relax and take my mind off cricket. Be doing anything. We'll be going for a kick of the footy, or watching TV or whatever. And then come morning of the game, that's when you start to switch on and sort of focus on who you're playing and who you're going to come up against, what bowlers, and I guess the drive to the games where I'm really thinking about my plans against those kind of bowlers. And and then once I get back from the game, if it could be a 4 day, so I get back home and try and switch off completely again. So I guess at night time I'm pretty calm and not doing too much, but come the morning and game day, I'm pretty making sure I'm trying to switch on and stay switched on for the day.
Yeah, awesome. There's actually been a few questions as well about that, and I actually got one emailed in from Tyler Vanderwert, and they've sort of asked what you do away from cricket. Like, do you have any other hobbies or interests, or what do you do to switch off from the game? And that Tyler asked if you follow any AFL or NRL teams as well.
Yeah, so I love my footy.
Superstar.
I barrack for the mighty Richmond Tigers. So they're
Yeah.
flying at the moment, which has been a good few years. But I guess my housemate plays a bit of music, so he's always got the guitars out, and I've sort of been trying to learn a bit off him and getting the guitar out as well. So that sort of keeps the mind ticking over, and just something else to do. And I'm just doing a bit of online study as well, just doing a Bachelor of Health Science. So I just started that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just to, just sort of they're just things I can do to, if I do sort of feel myself thinking too much about cricket, I can just, go and do them. And then that's just a good way to get away from it.
Yeah. So do you think that's fairly important for players to have other hobbies and interests and things to get away from the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're always hearing people talking about trying to get a good balance in their,
Yeah.
I guess, their sporting life and their normal life. So I think as a young player, I was, I'm talking, 5-6 years ago, I was too much invested in the game, and just that was all I thought about. And I was just getting nervous and anxious, and I was just cooking my brain. Like I was thinking about too much. But, have good mates around you and different things to do to take your mind off. I reckon it's crucial just to, I guess, relax you and take your mind off it a bit.
Yeah. And with training, what are your thoughts around like training balance? There's again been quite a few questions about that. How much should you train? How much do you have to train to be a professional? So has your training workload changed much? Like what was it like as a kid and where is it at the moment at the level you're playing?
Um, it's changed massively from when I was a kid. I think from when I was a kid, it was just the old, I guess, Tuesday, Thursday nights after school.
Yeah.
And I was sort of playing footy as well at the time, and those sort of pre-seasons and what are sort of mixed in with each other. The end of footy season might have interrupted my pre-season for cricket, or my cricket finals might have interrupted my footy pre-season. So I was sort of training a fair bit with footy and cricket at the same time. But then I guess now as a professional, it's pretty much, I'm definitely having about 3 or 4 skill sessions a week. They're not overly big. Like we might have a couple of main sessions, but then I'm making sure I'm, hitting on a couple of extra days or whatever. So that's definitely changed from, maybe a couple of nights a week cricket training to maybe 3 or 4 days a week of training.
Yeah.
But again, I might touch on that. I guess not everyone's the same. Everyone's got their own. There's no real way to train like as a professional. I think some guys might feel like they need to train every day and hit balls every day, whereas I might be 3 days a week, or someone might have 2 main days a week of training of hitting balls, and they
Yeah.
might feel like they're ready to go. So everyone's different, I think.
Yeah, it's about trying to understand your own game and what
Yeah.
works. Because like you said, you hear from guys that like hitting hundreds of balls every day, and that works for them.
Yep. I think for me, as I said before, it's more quality over quantity. So if I go out in the nets and face 20 balls, just in my extra time, if I face 20 balls and I feel like I'm hitting them right, I'm like, all right, that'll do. I reckon I'm feeling good. But
Yeah.
then some other days, if I'm just having an extra hit, it might take me, 100, 200 balls to feel good. So that's just sort of come over time, of knowing what you feel like and if you need more or less or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sweet. So obviously you bat, but you do bowl as well. From Sam Cornwell, he's just asked, he sent in a question before, what do you focus on when you're coming into bowl? So have you got any sort of cues or things like that from your bowling perspective? How do you go about, what are you doing at the top of your mark before you're coming in?
Yeah, I've got a couple of cues. I'm making sure I've got power at the crease. So I'm just thinking power as I'm walking in. I guess for me, when I bowl my bad balls, it's when I'm a bit lazy at the crease and not putting enough effort on the ball or not using my legs enough. So if I'm thinking power, that sort of means, up and over and really getting that fast arm and a good follow through. So I guess that's my cue. I think that's what I got for you on that one.
Perfect. Keep it simple.
What about power hitting, Shorty? There's been a few on that. Have you got any tips for gaining more power when you're batting?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty lucky having some good levers. I'm a bit taller and the long arms, but a lot of coaches. I worked closer with Brad Hodge, the Vics with this, and his message is always about a nice stable base, and keeping your head, I guess, in line with the ball and not sort of lifting your head up and really holding your shape and staying strong in the shot. So, you hear a lot of coaches say, like, if someone's trying to slog, like, hold your shape, because kids are just trying to swing as hard as they can and their legs are going that way and their head's going up and can really lose power doing that. So he was a big one on a nice, strong, open stance, to give you access around the ground and to to really push off and put some momentum into the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Let's talk about the strikers. There's been a few questions too about that, like just in terms of your teammates. A couple of people have asked what it's like to face Rashid Khan in the nets and how you pick his wrong'un. And then maybe they've asked who your favourite teammate is as well, and who the hardest worker is.
Yeah, okay. I'll start with Rash. He's pretty interesting. The thing with Rash is his leg spinner doesn't spin that much. So I feel like he's not going to beat me on the outside of my bat. And with his wrong, and I'm still only picking him 50% of the time. But in saying that, I do come down the wicket a lot to him because I know he's not going to spin it past my outside edge. So if I can sort of stay on that side of it and expect him to be at my stumps, then I can sort of, come down to him and play him that way. And then if I'm coming down at him, I'm hoping that he might throw one short and then can rock back and try and hit him. So he's certainly, I know I made that sound pretty easy. It's certainly not easy to face, but is very challenging. Favourite teammate, I reckon, at the strikers probably be Liam O'Connor.
I think someone asked in the chat, what do you think of Liam O'Connor?
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. Another leg spinner from WA. I think is a legend. Ripper bloke. He's funny. Just one of those blokes you love to have around the change rooms and whatever. And obviously being from both interstate and staying in Adelaide, we're staying together at the same hotel. So we're pretty much with each other, every day, every night for for a couple of months. So it's been good to get to know him and over the last couple of years. And no, he's a ripper. There was another question you said there, wasn't there?
Hardest worker. Yeah.
Oh, hardest. I'd have to be Alex Carey, I think. Not only in the nets or whatever, but in the gym and doing like extra running and stuff like that. It must be his footy background. He just loves his running and he'd be the first one in the nets and the last one to leave, and he's always in the gym and always doing that extra running. So he's one of those guys that just loves hard work, loves doing all the extras, and I guess that must be his way of making him ready for what's to come.
Yeah.
Nice. I can't remember who it was because it's going bonkers here with all the questions. And obviously we aren't going to be able to answer everyone's. That's why me and Nick are sort of trying to generalise questions. We've got about 297 and counting right now. So it's actually going to 300. So, but there's one that we get a lot of people asking about, and it's actually a really big topic even in our academy.
There just to play cricket and just to try on what you've got. Never really
well, where you're in the squad as a younger player, you know, you're trying to keep up. Did you ever have that thought of, oh, you know, people are going to think I'm crap now because I didn't make the team next year? Or was it always just, yeah, like you're saying, go with the flow? If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
From
It's
there,
just,
sort of thing.
I'm a pretty laid back character, so yeah, by all means, I wasn't putting any pressure on me to make the teams, or I wasn't really thinking about you know, what would happen next year if I don't make it or whatever. I was still playing footy at the time. I was loving footy. I was loving playing cricket. So you know, at the end of the day, if I didn't make the sides, then you know, I'd be back playing the next week for East Ballarat or whatever it was. Like, it wasn't the end of the world. It was all yeah, just not about not putting pressure on myself in the future.
Yeah, sweet. Maybe one or two more, Nick, and then I've got one more to
Yeah,
finish.
sorry, I just dropped out there, guys. My net had a meltdown. Did I disappear?
You popped in and out, but yeah, you're all good now, I think.
Sweet.
I'm trying to find
Actually,
one that I've saw before.
There's been quite a few in here, Shorty, about facing spin. Like what? So a lot of players are saying that they struggle like they're good against fast bowling, but they struggle to score and face spin. Have you got any advice for those players?
Yeah, I think when you're facing spinners, there's always going to be a lot more gaps. I guess spinners tend to have, you know, a couple of blokes on the boundary, so you're always going to have those more, well, a few more scoring options. So I think being busy at the crease, so rather than getting stuck on the crease, being busy, I think, means, you know, going forward a lot, or might be going back a lot on your stumps, and really sort of manoeuvring fields. So rather than just trying to just stand at the crease and you know, try and smack a spinner or something, it's really about yeah, coming down the wicket, or you know, getting back far enough to cut or pull or work around the corner. So I guess being busy is the main thing, and not trying to get stuck on the crease, or I guess not getting the bowler to in their groove, and
Don't let them dictate.
stuff up the bowler's rhythm a bit. Get his lengths and his line of length off early. So you know, if you come down the wicket a couple of times to him early, he might, you know, next over he might throw a couple short because he's worried about you coming down at him. So yeah, just being busy at the crease, I think.
Who's the best spinner you've faced?
Well, Rash would be one in the nets, but I think Steve O'Keefe's a big one. I've faced him a couple of times in Shield cricket. Obviously, he's not a big turner of the ball, but he's just so accurate and changes his pace really nicely. So, and he's a competitor. He's always trying to get on top of you. If he's not with the ball, he's always sort of into you, a bit verbally, and not sort of doesn't cross the line, obviously, but you just always know he's in the fight. He's trying to get you out of ball. Yeah, he's a tough one to face.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Hamo, do you want to wrap it up, Hamo? We might leave it there with one more question, hey?
Yeah. On a passing, we'll probably, two parts, two questions. I'm going to be greedy. But what's your favourite part of being a professional cricketer? What do you like the most about it?
I think I love that I'm a professional in something that I've loved growing up as well. And I guess I love seeing how my family reacts to when I'm doing well and when I'm doing poorly. I guess they're always sort of got your back, and they're always asking how you're going and stuff like that. And just to make them proud, I guess, is something that I love doing. And I think just the family support's been massive in the last 5, 6 years.
Yeah. And then the last part, obviously relevant to where we're at the moment as a community. What sort of advice or tips would you give, the group of people that are watching now live on Facebook or in the webinar, but also when they're watching the replay? What advice would you give to make the best out of the situation right now in isolation? Obviously we can't do everything that we wanted to all the time. What do you think is the best way to go about, making the most of this time?
That's a good question. I know it's sort of the cricket off season now, but it's always good to, I guess, keep the skills up however you can, whether it be, getting a tennis racket out with a tennis ball and, taking catches, or, you see I think Aaron Finch had the golf balls out on the wall and, still catching, and not sure if you're allowed to, but can you go take your old man to the nets or something and still?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Most of the time, backyard stuff, you'd still be able to hit balls and that.
The backyard stuff you can do if you got a backyard big enough. But it's just, I reckon, try and nail the basics. I guess you can't really sit down and then do nothing and expect to come into cricket pre-season when it's allowed and expect to do well. I think just try and nail all these little basic skills you can do around the house.
Perfect.
And even stuff like this, the 250 odd that we've got on here, you guys are taking a positive action towards your cricket by jumping on tonight and learning from a professional player.
Yep. Just keep watching videos, and I'm sure the ACI are all over this isolation, keeping your skills up intact. So keep listening to these fellas.
Perfect. Cheers, love it. All right. Well, thanks very much, mate. Again, I appreciate you coming on. We love it. We love having you on all the time. So, we'll keep in touch. Thanks again, mate, and stay safe. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
No worries, mate. Appreciate you.